All right, welcome to Behind Enemy Lines. Little bathroom humor there for you in the beginning. Terry is not with us. He is on location at the DNC, mixing it up with the anarchists and the pro-Palestinian protesters. Just want to be clear, I'm not of the opinion that Michelle Obama or Big Mike, as she's affectionately called on the internet, is a man, but I do think that was pretty funny. So letting it all hang out at the DNC, that's for sure. So we're going to talk about how this week started. We kicked it off with a Gateway Pundit article about what was about to go down at the DNC this week, which is entirely predictable. And then we'll go into some other content that Terry has provided us by being on site down in Chicago at the DNC with the likes of Ben Berquam and Mike Lindell and some other patriots who are covering the insanity down there. It's 1968 all over again, but probably a little bit worse. And so, yeah, we'll get into that stuff after a couple commercials from our sponsors, IFA and MyPillow. Everybody go out there and get a MyPillow, BELL 1776. Let's go ahead and run that.
We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never back down. We will never, ever surrender. Because we are Americans. And our hearts bleed red, white, and blue.
Oh, there we go. They can't hear me though, right? Yeah, they can. Oh, all right. So, yeah, get yourself a MyPillow. I say it every time, but I'm still sleeping with two MyPillows from like 6 years ago before I even knew this guy was a thing. I got him at Bed Bath & Beyond before he got canceled from them. Now I think they're canceled, right? And so that's kind of interesting. Mike Lindell and MyPillow are still around. I hear great slippers. Jason's always raving about the terry cloth robe. They got some mattress covers. Also, he's a patriot. Good buddy of the show. Terry had dinner with him the other night. Not so sure how I feel about him shaving off his mustache the other day and going undercover at the DNC. I don't think that worked out for him too well. I think people still recognized him, but he is a great patriot, spending a lot of his money on trying to clear up this election problem that we have. He's bought a lot of voter rolls, so support him and the show, BEL 1776. Get yourself some MyPillow stuff. It's good products. Like I said, I'm still sleeping with mine. And support Mike Lindell, MyPillow, and our show, Behind Enemy Lines. All right. So let's get into it. The first story we have today is a story I wrote that Terry and I collaborated on. We collaborated with Gateway Pundit. And what we were trying to do is we put this story out on Sunday, and we were trying to show how, these activist groups and Antifa and the pro-Palestinian protesters were all going to rain down in Chicago this week and cause a lot of trouble. And some of the things we found were that there's an alternate universe behind enemy lines out there, a far leftist group. And those two guys there, Jason and Jeremy Hammond, they are. And you scroll down to the bottom, Jason. I'll show you. We can show their actual pictures in the X post or the X account they have. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. So they're right there. They describe themselves as anarchists. They have a history of far left activism. A couple of them they've both been to prison, and obviously they hate MAGA, but they also hate the Democrat Party. Anyhow, they've got connections through a law enforcement anonymous source that we have to this Behind Enemy Lines account. Jason, if you scroll up, we can check out their website. I think it's there it is right there. Make 2024 as great as 1968. That link. So this is their website, and if you scroll down a little, you could see, they're not fans of the potential Harris Walls or the Harris Walls ticket. And most of these protesters in Chicago right now are going crazy about the Democrat Party's position on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and are suggesting that they promote genocide. It's funny because I didn't notice a lot of these people at the Republican, the RNC, and they seem to be going crazy at the DNC. And in this article, I have a little snippet. Maybe we could play. Why don't we play it? Because let's just remember which party has the violent supporters and which. Scroll down a little bit, and it's right there. Let's play that real quick. I just want to show. I just want everybody to be.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
This way. That's it right there. Pull it up.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, so there you go. There's the measured Democrat Party, the compassionate Democrat Party for you. It's no surprise that there are violent protesters all week at the DNC, given this is the type of rhetoric that the Democrat Party supports. It reminds me of my 4-year-old when he doesn't get his way, he stomps his feet and throws a temper tantrum, and sometimes we'll get violent or break things. I mean, that's the Democrat Party. They want you to believe they're the party of Barack Obama and his measured tones and his yes we can and the progressive party, but really they call for violence, and then it comes at the DNC this week, and we'll get into that. One of the things we found in that Gateway Pundit article that was interesting. Most of these far left activists, they're communists. they're explicit about being communists. And, communism is essentially a revolutionary ideology. It's tear the whole thing down. And the entire ideology is propped up by the Nietzschean will to power, right? The only truth that they understand is whoever's in power makes the rules. So that's what they do. They revolutionize. And the Democrats call for violence. And so they're getting it this week at the DNC. And one of the things that we found in the article was one of these two brothers who's connected to this Behind Enemy Lines website that's calling for all this violent protest at the DNC, was an acolyte of Bill Ayers. Many of you might know that name as a former University of Chicago, former University of Illinois at Chicago professor who was the founder of the far left terrorist groups, the Weathermen and the Weather Underground from the 1960s and 70s. And for some reason, he never went to prison, but was responsible for multiple bombings and violent anarchist protest attacks. And of course, and there's a link to a Hill article that connects Bill Ayers and Barack Obama from Barack Obama's time in Illinois. So one of the things that is apparent about this Democrat Party is they're communists. And you need to look no further than the type of policy that they input, trying to drive a wedge into the family with the state. We saw the California bills and all these other crazy bills, and we can get into some of that Illinois legislation in particular that would show that they're communists and they're having a communist revolution this week at the DNC. So let's take a look at some of that. Let's bring up that first tweet. So many of you might know, and again, we're going to go over the material that Terry has uncovered at the DNC this week with the likes of Ben Berquam from Real America's Voice. Ben and Terry have become quite the tag team duo as it pertains to reporting in Chicago on the illegal immigration thing, and now they're doing some yeoman's work at the DNC. So one of the cool things is that you see there, before we play the clip, Andy No retweeted if you go, there you go. Yeah. So Andy No retweet. This is a little protest that they were involved in. We had 1.2 million views on this tweet. So, and you see Terry's avatar there, but so Terry and Ben were in front of this protest, but Andy No has been reporting on Antifa for years now. He's a fellow independent journalist. He's got over 2 million followers. And here, let's check this out real quick.
Free Palestine! Free, not on glory! Not on glory! There we go! Yeah! Hey, the American flag. They did. And you're fucking. It's our country. It's our country. Fuck this country. American flag. Burn it down. Burn it down. You guys are the enemy. Don't burn the flag. I don't care what you say. Don't burn the American flag. Fuck yeah, baby. Free Palestine! 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 All right, children in Gaza are being murdered. The people responsible are having a fucking party in this fucking city. This is what we think of your fucking rag. This is what we think of your fucking rag. Oh no. The only acceptable American flag is one that is burned to char. What about global warming? This isn't good at all. This is very...
Hey,
did you hear that guy?
For any American citizen confused, I want you to reflect back on the last 5 years.
If anybody has asthma, they should clear out.
If you're fucking older than 16, then you remember 2008. You remember every fucking crisis in the last 20 years. Where the fucking boot-licking motherfuckers protecting them.
Can you guys hear me?
Let's cut this.
Hey.
Let's bring in Terry.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Terry. Can we get him in on the screen?
I'm getting it right now. There we go.
Hey, what's up, Terry? Terry on location with Behind Enemy Lines.
Can I turn this thing sideways, or I got to keep it straight up, Jason?
No, you can turn it sideways. You can turn it sideways. Wow, look at that wall of police. So Terry, you got Tana's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I gotta take that off.
You got what?
No, you're good. So Terry, we were just playing the clip of that Antifa punk burning the American flag and them pushing Ben out of the way. I find it ironic that they're burning the American flag, but they're in Chicago and they're all safe and sound.
Sorry, man.
And they're not fighting on the Palestinian side in that war. They're just complaining about things.
Let me tell you what's going on right now. There's going to be shit going. So this guy with the black flag. Well, tell people what the black flag means. See it?
Yeah, I do. That's the. Is that the Antifa or is that the?
Well, it's supposed to be in a war or something, but it's not. It's not. So these guys here. I got video of it. We got into it. Me and Ben. Shit, I'm sorry.
Take your hand off, yeah.
Ben and I. Yeah. And somebody ID'd Ben as a fascist reporter, and I was a Proud Boy. Oh, sorry. And the Antifa guys started getting around us and stuff. I thought we were fucked, but they started the parade and they all had to leave. So
so the black flag is an indication that they're ready for a war, right?
Yes.
I mean, it
stands. And so with the guys that got the guys that you saw in some of the other videos that I posted and that you have that we've ID'd and stuff, they were arrested and they were kept in jail. So supposedly they flew in some other leaders from different parts of the country to try to pick up tonight. And that's the guy with the black flag. I sent you. Our friend helped me ID.
Yeah, we were just about to get to that.
Yeah, other militant piece of shit that I had words with. I'll be able to give that to you guys in a video. It's too long to send, and you'll see me having words a few different times with these fuckers, scumbags. There's open comments. I interviewed some guys with older guys with communist T-shirts. Are you a communist? He goes, yes, I am. Mm-hmm. So watch this wall of police that they're ready for this time. You guys ready?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Man, you know what's crazy, Terry? Like, it's 1968 all over again, even down to the blue helmets,
Yeah, there's not a lot of crazies.
No.
Speaking of crazies here. Hey, what are you doing? What's up?
You're on stage. Yes, sir.
So tell the audience, what are you doing here?
They operate in the AM, so we try to stop that. Feed the homeless. Just do our part.
Are you on steroids?
No, sir.
Okay.
Go on.
You got some cannons on you. All right.
Isn't he hot in that thing?
He's so I'm telling you guys, there's going to be.
What was this thing? What did he want? Is he
He's like a neutral guy. He's been following on the sidewalk.
So what's going on, Terry? Are they getting ready? Does it look like they're
I'll hold the camera so you could do a little talk. I got to just flip it.
Are they getting ready to make some trouble?
Yeah. This guy's a jag off right here.
So where are you
this
at,
guy in the
Terry?
black right here. Watch it. Sometimes he sees me, he'll give me the finger because I have words with him.
North tell us where you're at in relation to the United Center.
We are west of Union Park, north of the United Center.
Okay.
And they started in Union Park. Let's see if this prick sees me.
Is that
what is he? Is he wearing? He's an arrogant punk bitch. Really is.
Yeah. So, have you run into any people that have recognized you? Any Antifa?
Yeah, well, me and it was one of the Hammond's Pennsylvania weasels. It's like, this guy's a Proud Boy. Somebody looked at me when I said that.
Looks like a lot of journalists there, recording everything.
Let's see if this big guy sees it. But he's got the wrist.
There's a Palestinian flag. So, I mean, it seems like anybody wearing a mask is somebody that.
Fuck you too, man. Fuck you, bitch. Fucking bitch. Shit, your mama's underwear in that fucking flag?
Go back to Europe, motherfucker.
Yeah,
you don't belong.
You, man.
This
Yeah.
is good
Remember
TV.
that shit.
Go back to your
Remember
fucking
that shit. Go
PP.
back to fucking Europe. You don't like
Get
it.
your mom's underwear off the fucking stick.
Oh man, we should have.
Scared of, motherfucker. What you scared of?
He don't do shit. He just flaps his mouth. You know?
Fucking scared. Scared of. You shut up, motherfucker.
Should have put a language warning on this one. Not for kids. You be a good boy now, Terry.
Why don't you
be
do a
good
little
boy.
talking? You want me to follow this? You see what's going on?
Why don't you do it?
There's something's going to go off. Oh, you want to talk to me? Sorry.
Yeah. So,
We can hear you
Talking
fine.
around.
Just keep the camera going.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
narrate.
sorry. There's lots of other.
I
reporters
was
here.
like, we should have put a language warning out.
I
for
was
today.
we were at the Bright Bike Park guy. He's gonna get in touch with me. So's Newsmax.
So what's
I got a picture of a military guy fighting with a punk.
Oh,
and then
yeah?
the Bright Park guy. They beat the shit out of
All right.
they beat the shit out of a Trump guy with a Trump hat.
Oh, not good.
What is this?
What
here?
do they do? What do they do? Ambush him?
What is this here? What do we got here? What's the big deal
Some
with that
Kamala
shit?
gear? I don't know.
What's the big deal?
I don't know.
Street art.
So, Terry, this whole gaggle's moving towards the United Center. Is that it?
Yeah, let's talk. Want to talk to someone? Hey,
Sure.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Why do you support Palestine? Like, what drove you to support Palestine?
What do you mean? What a stupid fucking question.
Why is this a stupid question?
Because it's an injustice. Genocide was happening.
So, what about
Well, you agree?
What about October 7th?
What about October 7th?
It's not a big deal.
Yes, of course. Well, of course it is. What was it, 1,500 innocent people? Yes, of course it was. How many Palestinians have died? Innocent Palestinians have died since 1947.
Terry, ask him why
How many Palestinians have died since October 7th?
Go ahead.
40,000?
Terry.
Well, I mean, it was so. How much would you think was acceptable to retaliate for what happened to them on October 7th?
On that scale?
What was it? What would be acceptable? Like, what would you say that you'd be?
I don't know. I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
But that's excessive when you say 40,000 innocent civilians, mostly women and children.
Oh, I don't want to see those people die or whatever. But if my someone came and attacked my family, I would.
Right? Would you kill the whole village?
Depends if I couldn't get the guys that were responsible for killing my family.
I mean,
Yes.
are you justifying what Netanyahu is doing?
I don't like the killing of the kids, but at the same time, got to defend yourself.
The women, the innocent. I mean, they're destroying. I mean, they're going to take them. I don't know. You know what? I've been thinking that they may have been an inside job. Because
I agree with you. How the hell did they not know they're supposed to have the best security in the world? I agree with that absolutely.
You know, because Netanyahu, their government, they were itching for an excuse to go and invade.
That I won't debate with you.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
They're supposed to train people all over the world with their security, correct? How the people flying in little hang gliders and shit. So, thank you. Thanks. All right, guys.
That was good, Terry. I would ask if you get a chance, ask one of them. Why do you think it's this many people are doing this at the DNC and why they didn't go, after the RNC as much? See what somebody
Where's
thinks.
the Fox News guy?
Oh yeah. All right.
Sorry. So you guys want to see more of this, or you want to just? You want to?
Well, if you
sign
want,
up,
you're kind of breaking up now. Maybe it's a good time.
I'm under a bridge.
You're under a bridge.
There's an L coming.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I think we'll cut it off here.
All right,
hey, let me know if some stuff goes down though. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good job, buddy.
All right. Later.
Rejoin the Zoom or something.
Yeah. All right. So that's some good TV, huh, Jason? First of all, I would agree with that guy. I think there's something super suspicious about October 7th, in that, we've been made to believe that Israel is the most secure nation in the world, given the Iron Dome and their readiness and the way that they secure their borders from Palestine. Their intelligence as being, Mossad being probably, regarded as maybe behind or with the CIA as the most premier intelligence agency of the world. It stands to reason that there should be some speculation there as to how they missed, like Terry said, these hang glider attacks, and like how everything happened to go wrong at the right time for this to happen. It just seems, I'm not making an assertion as to what I think happened. I would say there's plenty of questions to answer, just like, there are about 9/11, about any major catastrophic geopolitical events in the last 100 years. All right, moving on. So that was some good TV. We definitely apologize for the excessive language there for the people that have given us feedback about that. But okay, so we showed Ben fighting that guy about the flag, and you can kind of see how hostile they are. Again, I find it a bit ironic that they'll sit there and, rage about what's going on in Palestine and burn the American flag, the symbol of freedom and, the banner under which they're allowed to express themselves politically. But I don't see them going over to Palestine to fight with the Palestinians. They're sure brave to burn an American flag in the streets of Chicago. I'm not sure exactly what that gets done. I mean, I've been to war. I've seen what the price that people pay in war. So, and I've seen people who've put their bodies, their lives, their ideologies on the actual line. And so, while I'm not going to criticize their opinion, I'm just going to say I think it rings on deaf ears to burn an American flag in the street. I don't see what you're accomplishing if you think you're accomplishing something for your ideology. Anyway, let's go to the and one of the things that Terry and I have talked about, and Terry will point out, is that these protesters, they're being funded by outside sources. Like we've seen in the past that there are connections from George Soros Open Society's foundation to Antifa groups. We saw in there's footage from January 6th of buses dropping off agitator protesters that's been widely reported. Well, we'll play this clip from Andy No to show that there's Muslim.
Here they come, all coming off of buses. There's the buses going away right now. They're still actively coming off of the buses. Sorry, I'm double reporting right now, but you can see them all flowing off. They have a school bus. I don't know how this was orchestrated, but they're still coming off as we speak. If you want to zoom in on the buses, you can see them flowing off. It looks like a complete setup to me. They're still coming off the buses. Here they come, all coming off of buses. There's the buses going away right now.
Yeah, so this is the kind of thing that you see in the last few years at any one of these major protests, is this coordinated effort. And somebody's got to be paying for it, right? So, again, Andy No, that's courtesy Andy No. Andy No is, again, an independent journalist who's been doing yeoman's work. If you follow his X account, he's got over 2 million followers. He's one of the more successful independent journalists. We tip our cap to him because we're trying to do the same thing over here behind enemy lines. And he has been covering Antifa for years, and the Antifa that the government, the FBI has testified that isn't an actual terrorist group. There's no organization to them, and yet somehow they have found a way to do millions and millions of dollars in damage to cities across America, to assault innocent protesters, and to coordinate these intimidation attacks en masse across the United States, but they're not organized. So I'm not sure I get that one. All right. So, moving on, let's show some of the clips that Terry's come up with from those TikTok videos. Here you go.
It's kind of ironic. Look at all the fencing we have here for these crazy liberals. They'll do anything to protect themselves. You must be a crazy liberal. Exactly. Oh my God, I could tell by the back end of you. These scumbags, what a fat ass, nasty looking liberal. They all look like that. Anyway, this is look at this fencing, and they got all their buses in there, right? Probably full of Venezuelans. It's a joke. Look at the fencing. Fencing. So if you remember, there was a breach Monday, and where they did the breach, they put in 3 types of fences. They got one on each side of the street, and they put a 3rd layer in to make sure they're extra safe. But if you think about it, Biden went to the Supreme Court to force Abbott to keep his borders open, right? So what about this fencing? Yeah. I thought fences don't work. I guess they didn't work well on Monday because Antifa got in, right? Stay tuned.
Yeah, so obviously the point that Terry's making there is the hypocrisy of the Democrats who will keep our and the Biden administration, the now seemingly Kamala Harris administration, although that's not official yet. I imagine it will be before the election that they'll pull the 25th on Joe. Because do we even know where's he been? He was at the DNC, right? Was that it? Yeah, and they're praising him there. They're all like, "Oh, Joe Biden, this great guy," but they gave him the axe, so it doesn't really make sense. It's funny how they'll leave the border wide open, and we don't need a wall. But after January 6th, they fenced in the White House and all over DC, and then as you see here at the DNC, they rile up protesters, as we showed in that video. They antagonize people and call for violent protests in the streets, but then when it comes to them and their little parade at the DNC, they're gonna wall themselves in and protect themselves. So good reporting there from Terry. All right, let's check out the next one. I think we got 3 altogether, right? We got any volume on this one? Let's start that one over. Let's start that one over.
Got nuts all over.
Is that the 3rd one?
I don't know. It just auto played.
Okay. So that one's pretty surreal. Just the move back, and it had kind of a movie feel to it. It was good to see that guy get his ass kicked. I think it was probably a total a-hole. But let's go ahead and play the 3rd one here. I mean, that we get the picture. So interesting how many protesters are at the DNC. So again, the Democrat, you could argue that in the history of politics in America, that the current Democrat Party is the furthest left on the political spectrum than any Democrat Party that's ever put a platform out there. And they may not explicitly call themselves communists, but if you look at the legislation they propose, if you look at the legislation in the states that they passed, in states like California, New York, Illinois, if you look at some of the politicians, Bernie Sanders is an open socialist, AOC is an open socialist, the Squad essentially are socialists and radicals.
Be fair. A lot of their policies are fascist too.
Well, you know,
weren't the Union of State and Corporations,
right? Weren't the Nazis National Socialists, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I would still label them as more fascist, but you know, fascist, communist. At the end of the day, they're totalitarian governments who end up controlling the means of production and all domains of the human experience with the government apparatus. So that's what they call for. And look, I get why people are frustrated. We, the Patriots side who advocates for Donald Trump, obviously that's a revolution in and of itself, but it's a revolution for freedom. For the representation of individual freedom, individual sovereignty within the rubric of the Constitution, which originally called for such a thing. The left is frustrated about the things that are going on in America, about how the government's been captured by big business. I get it. I sympathize. I think the issue is they want to just overthrow things, you know, have a revolution. It's akin to our revolution was an intellectual revolution by the founders who said that, you know, we can learn from Rome and their republic and we can build off of, you know, the system we've set up here in America separate. You know, we have an ocean separating us, and we can give the individual the opportunity to manifest their own destiny. And then we did so. We had a revolution to fight for our own freedom and to get away from the tyranny of the British Empire, and we were successful. And then just a few years later, you saw in France another revolution, only a leftist revolution, and it it ended in a lot of misery and death and tyranny. And didn't go so well for them for many years to come. So, you know, we're looking at a similar dichotomy in America today, and the leftists want to just destroy. Now, the politicians will have you believe something different, right? The Democrats will have you believe that they're compassionate, that they're looking out for the little guy. And, you know, I got a little bit of a clip here for you to show exactly that's what they're saying. So if we can play Big Mike, just a joke, Michelle Obama here.
You see, my mom, in her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So my mother volunteered at the local school. She
Okay. Yeah,
you see,
cut it off.
my mom.
I gotta go back and cut it off. Okay, so this tweet is great because Oh, you're showing. Okay. Again, I do not. I just think this is a good joke. I think it's hilarious that this is a thing on the internet. So, okay, yeah.
It was on a sign in Chicago.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious. I think it's funny, right? I mean, it's funny that people are like, where that conspiracy theory came from.
Really funny.
I don't really care. It's hilarious that people call her Big Mike. It's what a nickname, right?
Or his very masculine wife.
Right. I mean, yeah. She's tall and, maybe has an Adam's apple. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But it's funny. But what's even funnier is, her mom and dad were actually suspicious of people who took too much. It's like, oh, really? As far as I'm aware, Michelle, you and your husband have only ever been political as a career. And let's just look at this. Washington, D.C. home bought for $8.1 million. Martha's Vineyard home bought for $11.75 million. Beachfront home in Hawaii bought for $8.7 million. Chicago home bought for $1.65 million. So excuse me if I'm not, taking this little suggestion that they're for the little guy too seriously. As far as I know, they didn't have millions and millions of dollars, the Obamas, until after they left the White House. So they've literally enriched themselves off of the back of hardworking Americans. And then they sit there and they claim that they're for the little guy. Lady, your husband is the one who bailed out the big banks and the major auto manufacturers in America after the 2008 crisis. As far as I'm aware, there's like one guy that went to jail in that whole mess. Okay. So the idea that the Democrats are for the little guy, the Democrats who bail out the big banks and the major corporations in the country, when they fail, they use the government to bail out big business and then tax the little guy. And, they won't drill for oil. They keep the energy costs high. They claim that Donald Trump's the problem, but Donald Trump cut taxes, and they say, cutting taxes is for the corporations. It's like, I'm pretty sure we were all doing a lot better in the years of Donald Trump's administration from an economic standpoint before COVID hit. This idea that they're for the little guy, the Democrats of the big tech companies and the high finance and the elitist coasts of the West and the East. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that blue dog Democrat, that working class party is dead. They can virtue signal all they want about being for the little guy. They're for the corporations. It's their policies. It's obvious. And again, this coming from the lady who's married to the guy who bailed out the big banks that screwed all of us. So the working class party is now the Republican Party, and Donald Trump identified the fact that they abandoned the inner core of the country, the working class, people. And, he's also got the anti-war message out there now. So Trump has taken over that narrative of anti-war. He's taken over, trying to lift up the working class American, and they've become communist. So, I mean, this facade that, that the Democrats are for the working class, the little guy, lifting up the little guy when, they're taxing the crap out of us and they want to expand government, is insane to me. I mean, Kamala Harris has come out now with a plan to input price controls. For anybody that is not aware, one of the main platforms of the Soviet Communist Party, one of the first things they did was input price controls. You know what that does to industry? That's where you get bread lines. Because you're telling corporations or businesses that they can only sell things for a certain price. Well, they can't afford to do business. And so they can't afford to put as much on the shelves. And that's how, that's how people starved in Russia. So that's insane. It's debunked by data that we've had for, many years. And there's another clip I want to play for you. This is Vivek, because recently they're pitching a capital gains tax on unrealized gains. So we'll let Vivek try to explain this to you. It's
selling
insane.
means you don't want to sell, but you're forced to sell because you have to pay the tax out of pocket. But it turns out you won't be the only person required to do that. Somebody else will be required to do that too, but they'll have to do it at a lower price because you already sold and your sale drove down the price of the asset. And then when the next person does it, that triggers down the price of the asset further, but the guy sitting next to him has to sell that asset to pay his taxes. That is how you trigger what you call a downward spiral in asset prices. It's the best formula for triggering a second Great Depression, if we ever had one. And the reality is, you know who's going to be holding the bag at the end of it? The people who don't hold liquid assets. Those people who are wealthier, well-advised enough to know that they hold a significant portion of their assets in liquid holdings. But think about that entrepreneur who started a small business, a barbershop, a restaurant owner, who might be having early success but needs to reinvest in their business to grow it. They don't have the cash to pay it because they're all in on their business. They're the ones who are ultimately going to actually have to pay the price. So it's just another example of how the failed economic policies, this isn't just verbiage. She supported this as presidential candidate. She supported it as the vice president of the United States, trying to ram through a budget that contained it. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders agree with her. And the only reason I respect the likes of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders more than I respect Kamala Harris, I disagree with them on their policies equally, because they're the same policies. But the reason I respect the likes of Bernie Sanders more is at least he's actually willing to still stand behind his own policy proposals. And the only thing worse than somebody who believes the wrong thing is somebody who advances the wrong policies while actually believing nothing at all. And I think that's what we're getting with Kamala Harris today.
Okay, so this capital gains tax that Kamala Harris has proposed increased to 25%. But not only that, they want to tax capital gains, and capital gains are, what it used to be was you'd get taxed on any assets that after you sold them. Now they want to tax you on unrealized gains, meaning if you're still holding them, right, and you gain money on them, you'll get taxed on that. And so that's why Vivek was mentioning the business owner who's all in and can't afford to pay these taxes. But he also talked about earlier in that clip, he talked about the major asset holders having to sell off their stock or sell off their assets in order to pay those taxes. What that means for like corporations or big businesses is they're not going to be able to afford to do business, and jobs will disappear. And, it's a down, again, as Vivek said, a downward spiral for the economy, another Great Depression. And it's pretty insane because it's just common sense that's nuts that the government would do that. I mean, I think at this point, everybody realizes that, shifting to the right politically is really just shifting back toward the center, because the Democrats have brought this country so far left from a cultural and now a big government perspective that, we're treading in the waters of communism now with our government. The national security state is out of control, weaponizing itself against American citizens, and the Democrat Party and its policies, both fiscal and legislative, are as far left as they have ever been in this country. And the specter of communism is here. In Illinois alone, I have an article here that shows that J.B. Pritzker, this article is from we've got you covered.com, and it is saying that Governor Pritzker, this is as of August 12th article, Governor Pritzker signs 265 bills into law. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and guess that many of these are not friendly to either the Illinois citizen or the Illinois business owner. in Illinois, we've had bills that have taken away parents' rights, that have taken away Second Amendment rights, that have been an affront to our First Amendment right. And Amendment 1, which Terry and I have railed against on this show many times, was a amendment to the Illinois Constitution that gave constitutional power to public unions. Okay, so effectively creating a fourth branch of government. Democrats, being savvy political party in Illinois, realizing that they have total control from a political perspective in Illinois, also realize that the public union members are 99.9% liberal or Democrat voting people. And so that's 7%. That's representative 7% of the Illinois population, and now they have constitutional power. So, like a fourth branch government, we saw something with the Chicago teachers unions, where they advocated for $1 billion of funding for themselves and to provide housing for their employees and their members. So, I mean, we're off the rails, folks. I mean, just look at it. The Democrats have gone full commie. And unless we do something about it fast, we're headed for danger. Okay. Well, that's it for today. That's a good question. Yeah, we're going to show a couple things. So, again, we got the Lincoln Trump dinner on October 17th. We got some great speakers. Christopher Adamo, one of our first guests, who wrote Rules for Defeating Radicals, kind of a treatise on how to oppose Saul Alinsky's rule for radicals. We got the RNC committeeman for Illinois, Dean White. We got Stephanie Trussell, a former lieutenant governor candidate. We've got Sean Noonan there, and I think Annie from IFA. So yeah, we'll have more information on that. Recently in Illinois, there's been some shakeup. Grassroots have made some inroads into the party, but it's still mainly controlled by rhinos. There's some people behind the scenes that think that they have pulled the wool over people's eyes by getting rid of the former chair, Don Tracy, and making some moves. But you don't change a party overnight. I think there's no platform. There's no strategy, and most importantly, there's no money. And in my opinion, they're going to get their ass handed to them in November. And let's hope not. I mean, I'm for turning the state around, but sometimes you got to hit rock bottom, right, Jason? sometimes you got to end up in that methadone clinic before you got to go to rehab. So I think there's a lot of changes to be made. One of them is going to be, present in this Lincoln Trump dinner that we're throwing. And Terry's doing some yeoman's work downtown, and he made some interesting connections at a recent dinner. He was sitting next to Rudy Giuliani and Mike Lindell, and he also had some interesting conversations with some really important political figures in Illinois. And I think there's going to be some exciting things coming down the road for grassroots. So more to come on that. Little teaser for the future. But hey, listen, Terry, you stay safe out there. I think we still got the Lincoln Trump thing. But Terry, stay safe out there, man. Try to get as much content as you can. That was some great reporting from earlier, and good to hear from a non-crazy, maybe pro-Palestinian protester. So, awesome work. Stay safe. We'll have some more great content for you next week. Thanks for joining. Bye, everybody.